No rules when you come out my way. That's why my field stays packed on Fridays. We hunting, fishing, good living, just soaking up every country second we're giving. Yeah, we a long way away from the highway, so go ahead, y'all, you can get sideways. Smoking, sipping, dip spitting, just soaking up every country second.
It's Laura Starling and Justin Kelly, the Old Boots podcast, and we are in Jackson, Georgia today, talking to our Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Laura. Welcome to Butts County. Glad to have you here.
Great to be here. Of course, everybody knows what Butts County is famous for.
Fresh air barbecue.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I didn't know where she was going with that.
That's why I had to jump in.
That's right.
Yeah. Fresh air barbecue. Everybody knows that.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it's actually the hometown of our Lieutenant Governor, because you were born here, correct?
Oh, yeah. Born and raised 6 generations right here in Butts County. So we've got deep roots. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. So, but I'm glad to have y'all. And, but y'all are from a nice little community as well, Jones County. There's a lot of good folks down in Jones County. I represented that area when I was in the state Senate, for, I guess I was there 10 years.
10 years?
Jones County was part of my district. Yeah. So I have a lot of fond memories of Jones County.
Well, we love Jones County, and of course, we passed Fresh Air Barbecue on our way up here to meet with you today. And I was thinking, should we stop before? Should we get us a little barbecue before we go do the interview? But
they'll still be open when you leave.
Oh yeah.
Be open, yeah.
It's going to happen, I believe. It's in our future.
But you were born and raised here in Butts County.
Born and raised here. Actually went to school in College Park, Atlanta, or College Park, Georgia, I should say. But went to high school at Woodward Academy. And then after I finished there, I went to University of Georgia and walked on the football team up there. Ended up getting a scholarship. I told somebody a funny story the other day that I'd actually forgotten about, but I played for both Jim Donnan and Mark Rick.
Wow.
And on the Jim Donnan, he was let go, and it was after my sophomore year that he was let go. But I never will forget, he brought me in to his office to let me know that he's going to put me on scholarship. And then the next day, they got rid of him.
Oh man!
So when Coach Rick came in, I went and obviously Coach Rick was new to the program. He was coming from Florida State. I didn't know him from Adam, and I went to go see him, and of course he was very nice, and he said, well, let's just see how you do during winter workouts, and then so I did all right because he ended up honoring what Coach Donnan had originally said he was going to do. So, but which was good. I was something that it meant something to me at the time, and of course, I have both Coach Donnan and Coach Rick are high on my list of good folks, So,
yeah.
But finished school there, came back home, and started working in the family business, and started a couple of businesses on my own, incorporated in the network of things that we do. And then, of course, got married to my high school sweetheart, Jan, and we've got 2 kids, Stella and Banks. And, somewhere along the way, I got into politics too. So
That happens to a couple of those Bulldog football players. They dabble in a little bit of politics, But what did you play football there? I mean, what position? I guess you got the scholarship. So what position were you playing?
Yeah, I was a free safety, and so I played a lot. Didn't ever crack the starting lineup, but I did play in every. Look, I played in every game from my freshman year on. So
that's a huge accomplishment.
I did play a lot, mostly in special teams. I ended up as team captain my senior year, which is voted on by the players, and so that was something that was pretty special. Obviously, growing up a Bulldog fan, always dreamed about playing between the hedges and everything,
right?
And so it was a big honor to do that, and it paid a lot of dividends. That Bulldog network is a big one,
right.
Obviously in the state, and it obviously when I first started out in business, it opened a lot of doors for me, and and it hadn't been bad in politics either.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. You got to meet a lot of people, being part of the Georgia Bulldogs, and even back then, that was Larry Munson time, right? Well,
Oh yeah,
he was still calling games back then, right?
He was.
Did you get to meet him?
Oh yeah, yeah. Larry and Lauren Smith.
Lauren.
And
Oh yeah.
what you got?
What you got, Lauren? What you got?
That's it. And I still talk to Lauren Smith on occasions because he's still plugging away
Right.
at it. And but yeah, Larry Munson. That was obviously all for all your old generation Bulldog fans. You gonna know that Larry Munson.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know it, and they just hear the voice. They know that voice. They might not know that's Larry Munson, but they know that voice.
Oh, he had a great voice for radio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it sure did.
So you got out of college, you moved here back home, you got back dabbling in some businesses and things. And so your family is known for the petroleum business.
Mm-hmm.
But then what was one of the first businesses that you started?
The JP Capital and Insurance.
Okay.
It is a commercial lending office, but as well as an insurance, property and casualty insurance company.
Okay.
And we started that from scratch, and I was tasked with making it work. That was one thing. All three of I've got two siblings. All three of us are involved in the company. And my father, who started the company, he's old school. So when we came to work, he said, "Well, we don't have any handouts around here, so you're gonna have to earn your keep."
Right.
And so that's really how we've expanded into all the different endeavors that we're in. Because my sister started the fast food, the food component,
right,
to our businesses. And so we operate a number of Dunkin' Donuts and Burger Kings and Dairy Queens and Subways, and then also obviously we have our retail petroleum, which we usually combine those. If we have a Burger King operation, it's hooked on to a convenience store.
Oh yeah,
location. And my brother, he's over the transport and new development. And that's something, the transport is something that he started. So, like I said, my father always had a saying: you got to bring more to the table than what you're taking away.
There you go.
And so we have taken this company when both Natalie and Brian and I got engaged. We probably had about 200 employees.
Okay.
And now we're up to a little over 2,000.
Wow.
Company wide. And so it's something we're proud of. Brian has two boys. One just finished at Georgia and is heading to law school up there. And he is, but both of them are planning on coming back and the other one is about to start his junior year at Georgia. And both of them have worked in the company since they were 10 or 12 years old. And that's what they're planning on doing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've got two who are 16 and about to be 13, and they've got their summer jobs already.
There you go.
Up here, so it's I think it's good to teach establish a work ethic.
Yes.
In young people, and also it's good that they have an appreciation.
Yep.
That's one thing I was glad my father instilled in all of us is have an appreciation for what you have. Because it can, as you well know,
yes,
it can go away pretty quick if you don't watch it. So.
If you don't take care of that golden spoon, it can definitely vanish. I mean, you see a lot of people. It could go either way, and I enjoy that my daughter, she's 10 years old and she's already asking, "Hey, Daddy, when you gonna let me get on the cash register?" And
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a good feeling, and it sounds like that's already happening with your kids. They're wanting to get involved, and maybe not on the cash register, but in some form or fashion.
No, it teaches. I tell people all the time, if you want to learn a tough job and also learn people,
absolutely,
get into either their fast food business or waiting tables.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Because you will find out exactly. Number one, it teaches you how to interact with folks.
Right.
Number two, it teaches you, how to, because as you well know, in the food business, not everybody's happy.
Right.
And it teaches you how to deal with disgruntled, customers
Right.
and things of that nature. And that's all good training experience.
Yes, it puts them in all different kind of situations and makes them kind of troubleshoot things and makes them a lot more prepared for life, no matter what life throws at them after that. If you can work at a real busy, convenience store, or a real busy food establishment and handle business, you can do anything in this world you put your mind to.
There's no question about that. There's no question about that. It's tough work, but it's and it's something that you will learn quickly how to interact with people,
Right.
and that's what makes the world go around. So
Absolutely. So I guess at some point in time, you got this kind of urge to get involved in politics.
Yeah.
And what was your first job, first thing that you ran for, I guess, in politics?
Well, obviously when you have it in a small town, as y'all
Right.
well know, when you're involved in business, you usually engage in all the Rotary clubs and Chamber of Commerce and all those kind of things, because obviously you want to be involved and be engaged, and you want to be supportive of your recreation departments and your school system and all that. And so I was involved and was the youngest one, involved in a lot of these things. I remember I was the youngest Rotary Club member for probably 10 or 15 years before finally somebody came along that was younger. But
So that's the same in every town, huh?
Yeah. And when you're involved, people always approach you about, running for public office, it seems like, and
Right.
Either school board or county commission or whatever it might be. Well, I had some old heads around here that convinced me that running for the state senate would be a good idea, because we didn't have any representation around here, and so obviously I didn't know what I was doing, and a couple of them approached me. Old State Farm agent around here named Luke Weaver was one of them, and he was one of my dad's old high school and college. He was my dad's college roommate at Georgia, and he and my father graduated high school together. Luke's no longer with us, unfortunately, but anyways, he talked me into it, and I said, well, when's qualifying? He said, what's this week?
This week.
I was like, and this is a Wednesday now. I was like, when's the last day? He goes, Friday. And so I go, all right, well, let me go talk to Jan. And so I went home, and my wife's 8 months pregnant at the time with our second child.
Right.
And we're building a new house. And I went home. I said, I think I'm going to, some of the guys asked me to go run for state senate. And I was like, I think I might do it. And she kind of looked at me. She goes, state senate?
Are you okay?
What do they do? What does that do? I was like, well, they're part of the legislative process. So I said, I told them I'd do it, so I'm going to go up there and qualify on Friday. And that's basically
and that's
how
what
it started.
you did.
Yeah. So I went and qualified and ran against a guy who was a 10-year incumbent, actually, and but managed to manage it. It was a big district. Obviously, it included Jones County, Baldwin, Jasper, Jasper, Jones, Putnam, Greene, Morgan, Butts, and I think that's it.
Wow.
And so
it's a big district.
It's a big district. And anyways, but we put together a pretty good game plan and ended up winning the race. So, and I served there for, I really thought I was going to get out of politics after serving, I think after my 8th year, I told Jan this might be it. And then anyways, this opportunity for lieutenant governor popped up, and so I ended up running for lieutenant governor and was successful in that as well. So, so I'm in finishing up my 3rd year. So I'll have my 4th year coming up here.
That's awesome.
Soon, so, but look, I get involved. Everybody always asks me, how you deal with, politics, and I said, look, I'm one of those common sense guys, and I look at how government should operate. And I say you won't ever get it to operate like a business,
right?
But you can apply business principles to it, try to make it run better and
be more efficient.
Yeah, and anyways, that's something that's worked for me since I've been in office, and hopefully it'll continue successes down the road for me.
And just talking about the position of lieutenant governor, so when you run for lieutenant governor, it's not like the vice president and the president are paired together as a teammate, right? You just there's a list of lieutenant governors you can.
That's
decide.
right. You run on separate tickets.
Okay.
Obviously, and every state does it differently.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some states that don't even have a lieutenant governor. But the role of lieutenant governor in Georgia is very similar to the role of the vice president. They preside over the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
The vice president of the United States is president of the Senate.
Gotcha.
In D.C. That's similar to Georgia. The lieutenant governor is the president of the Senate, and you're in charge of about a third of the budget, and you're in charge of obviously all the legislation that goes through the Senate chambers, and you kind of set the agenda for the Senate there. But you don't run on the ticket. But fortunately, Governor Kemp and I have a great working relationship,
right.
And he's been a good partner in the last 3 years that I've been able to serve as lieutenant governor. So, there's speculation about me running for the higher post. I think it's a worst kept secret. But
well, we were going to ask.
Yeah,
so
Absolutely, you can absolutely tell anything you want to on this podcast
but
today.
That is something I've been talking about, and hopefully. But I told my wife I'd take the kids and the kids on a vacation,
right.
Before I made any moves, and our vacation is this Saturday. So
you're a man of your word. You're going to vacation.
I'm a word, and we'll probably tackle that, the announcement or whatever sometime in July, 1st August, something like that.
Where's vacation?
We're going to go down to Costa Rica.
Awesome.
Oh,
yes.
Costa Rica. Yeah, we're going to go to Costa Rica and see if we can kick back. As a group of us, old college friends that our families have, traveled together, and so we're going to go before the kids get too old. We used to go. We've always these family trips. Traveling with friends that, our kids are similar age, but they're starting to grow up, and you know how teenagers are.
They have different friends.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So they're not as it's not as easy just to plop them down anywhere as it used to be, But
for sure.
But anyway, so we'll do that, and looking forward to it.
That's awesome. So.
Mm-hmm.
Do you split your time between Atlanta and Jackson, or how does that work
I
for
do.
you?
Obviously. The lieutenant governor's role is not a full-time job. It's the only constitutional responsibilities of the lieutenant governor. It actually is you're the number 2 in the state. Something happens to your governor, you have to step in. But the second is to preside over the Senate, and we're only in session in Georgia. Our legislative session is from January to usually the 1st of April, end of March, 1st of April, and so when session is over with, most of the time I'm here in Jackson, either doing my business, as I say, the business that pays the bills, and
right.
and most time, and if it's a state business and people need to meet with me, most times I'll have them come down here, or I'll go to Atlanta, to my office there in Atlanta. So, I've got I'm one of those. Very fortunate people. I tell people all the time, your company, and this is true in politics or business, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
And I've got a good team that I've assembled there in the Capitol that can take care of a lot of issues that otherwise might fall at my footsteps. They do a good job for me. So. And with business, we got a lot of good folks around this office too. That makes
office is awesome.
Keeps the trains running when I'm absent from here.
Well, and your staff. I just want to say this. The folks that work with you on scheduling your interviews and all that kind of thing. Man, they are top notch.
Oh, I
just
appreciate it.
Super nice and easy to work with, and just.
That's good to
top
hear.
notch.
That's good to hear. We like to take that Chick-fil-A approach.
Wait, are you saying Chick-fil-A when you're with the Dairy Queen guy?
Well,
we're the Chick-fil-A of Gray. How about
that? I know he runs a good operation down in Gray, and we like to think we do too. But Chick-fil-A is the model that I think everybody ought to aspire to be like.
That's right.
Because you always have somebody there who. they want to know how they can help you, and it's a pleasure to see you type deal. So, and that's what I tell my people at the Capitol. I was like, look, I don't, whoever, when we call and have an issue, you call them back.
Yeah.
Because that's the number one. That's number one. Amazing how many people don't get a return phone call from their elected officials.
Right.
I've heard that complaint more times than not, and I tell my folks, when they send an email, they call in, you respond to them, and you try to help them, but if you can't, you just, let them know we can't help you on this one, but if there's something else, we can try to help you. But most times they're really good about getting whatever the issues a constituent might have. They're usually pretty helpful about getting them done.
Well, it takes special people to do that kind of work too,
Yeah,
because nobody who writes to you or calls your office is probably happy. They didn't call to go, hey, you're doing a great job as Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah.
They're calling because there's something wrong.
They're calling you. Most times, you don't get a whole lot of people who are upset, but you do get a lot of people who are frustrated because they're kind of at their wits' end, and whether it's dealing with a business license or dealing with something with some state agency that they can't seem to get any traction with. When they contact us, it's because they've exhausted every other resource an option they have. So you have somebody who's very frustrated, but when you're able to help them, because most of the calls are very workable situations, and when you're able to help them in a timely manner, oh man, you can't buy ads better
That's
than
right.
that. When people walk away feeling good about the interaction they've had with your office, so it's good. So I like it when I hear people like you complimenting them, because
they're fantastic. Yeah.
Good.
Well, what I've found is, like, good people do good things, and I know that throughout your life and your career, and I'm sure your dad was super involved in a lot of charity work too, but I'm sure you got a lot of charity stuff that you do. Can you remember, we always like to ask, can you remember maybe one or two of the biggest charitable moments that kind of stick out in maybe not even when you raised the most money for something, but something that kind of meant the most to you?
Well, I mean, there's been several.
I'm sure you got a list.
Yeah. But I tell you one that was pretty special to me is, and in fact, here in this community, we always talked about how we never had a decent size facility, to have, whatever local events you might do. And we got together a few years when I was in the state Senate still. We got together a few years ago, the local community leaders, as well as some foundations and things of that nature, got together with the state of Georgia, with the DNR, and we were able to build a huge conference center at Indian Springs State Park. And that was something that we were pretty proud of to get done. And it being a collaborated effort on all the people who were going to benefit from it, able to get that done. That was under the Nathan Deal administration. That's how long ago that was, and it's a conference center that gets you. It's actually probably one of the few conference centers that's profitable, in the network of state conference centers. But they have wedding venues down there. We always host our annual Christmas parties and have company events down there. I had my kickoff announcement for Lieutenant Governor, almost 4 years ago now. I probably will have another announcement there.
I got to rent it in a little while.
in the coming weeks, and that's something I was very proud of that. But there's so many road projects, or libraries we got built down in Jones County was one, and that we finally got that bypass put in, and down there. Those are things that you don't get much recognition for that, but obviously, but that you were the ones behind the scenes that were making those funds available for those type projects, and so I'm happy for those. and my wife started an organization 10 years ago now that's called Butts Mutts, and it's a organization that helps with the animal shelter here and fostering dogs and getting them spayed and neutered and all that kind of stuff, and that's something that's been totally her project. But I was proud that I know she got into it because of of us just being so involved in so many other things. She saw a need here in the community, and so she stepped up to the plate, and it's been very, very successful little organization there. So
That's great. We're animal lovers, and
yeah. I
so,
think this month is actually foster dog. I'm looking at Enos right here. Isn't this month considered foster animal month or something like that? So
Okay.
So if you're willing to be a foster parent for the little fur babies, as we call them, maybe go to your local animal shelter and see if you can't foster a pup in need,
Yeah, because just about every animal shelter you go to is completely full, like at capacity.
Yeah.
Sometimes they might have to put one down to put one inside. I mean, there's a lot of them. I know Jones County stays full to the rim with animals, and we're pretty active with the animal shelter there. We sell pup cups at our little Dairy Queen, and all the money goes to them. So
that's good.
But it's always they're always needing money for something.
Always.
I mean, because they're at maximum capacity, and I'm sure there's not enough public funding for it.
Yeah. Usually the county run shelters, and most of them are county run. Have a hard time making the numbers work. And so anytime they can have volunteers or organizations that help out with that, it does help out. And especially in small communities, because you're right, in smaller communities, the resources are usually tighter, but the need is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And look, they took Butts County before they started their organization. They had about a 90% kill ratio of dogs that would be taken in, and they totally flipped that number around, where it's almost probably 85-90% adoption ratio now.
So the first time that I ever remember just talking to you, I was in a dove field with Barry Williams, and you called, and you were on speakerphone, and we were chatting because Jason Aldean was going to play the amphitheater in October, and you guys were doing some fundraising for Hurricane Helene.
Yeah.
For the area.
Yeah, well, and I love Barry, and of course I tell folks all the time, Barry and Jason and Cassie and the whole family, they've always been very good to me and good friends. But obviously, I know Jason does every year he goes to Macon, I believe puts on a fundraiser for the local children's hospital.
Right?
Yeah, and he was coming to town. And about that time, we had just had the Hurricane Helene, which hit southeast Georgia, and caused some really significant damage to that area. And I had just gotten finished, traveling all those different counties that were hit hard, all the way from Statesboro up to Augusta, and really just trying to figure out, other ways. Obviously, state dollars, emergency dollars, and even federal dollars are not going to be enough, because that was a generational storm that a lot of not only ag producers were hurt, but just rank and file people, and came up with a concept that maybe. I called Jason to see if he'd have a interest, and maybe that's piggybacking his concert, and lo and behold, he did. And then I called the president, Trump, who was actually running at the time, and pitched that same idea to him. He's become a dear friend, and he goes, "I love that idea. I love that idea." He goes, and then next thing I know, he gets a GoFundMe account, and then. I think they raised him just setting up a GoFundMe account, raised over $6 million, and then Jason and Brittany threw in another $500,000, and then we threw in a little bit, and so we ended up raising, well over $7 million for the hurricane victims.
Wow. Fantastic!
In literally 4 days' time. That's how quick we put it
right.
together.
Because I remember you were on stage at the concert and you had that big old check and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
And to throw something together to raise that kind of
money.
in that short period of time, it was really remarkable. And I just appreciate Jason. That was number one. It's a great venue, that new amphitheater down there.
Really nice.
It is nice, and he was so gracious and being a part of it, number one, and then allowing me to be a part of it as well. So just they're always giving. The Aldine Williams family is always very they just good folks, and I'm so proud of the success that he's had. So proud for him. Jason's been.
No doubt.
He's getting it done.
And he doesn't forget where he come from, because, I mean, he's a big giver to the Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital. When you pull into the hospital, you pull in on Jason Aldine Way, So, I mean, he keeps that at heart. I know he supports a lot of things, but he definitely jumps in behind the Beverly Knight Olson Hospital. And,
Sure.
and
Maybe you can have him perform at the governor's ball.
Yeah, maybe.
he did a fundraiser for me in Athens, Georgia, when I was running for lieutenant governor, and it sold out. Obviously, it was a fundraiser. He did it. It sold out in literally a day's time, and we had it at a venue there in Athens, and my buddy, former teammate and buddy Kirby Smart, ended up coming, and he I don't know who was the bigger hit, Jason or Kirby.
If you get Kirby in the room with Jason, wow, how do you know which way to go? Wow.
Right.
Well,
That's two big celebrities.
It was. And they were. It was funny because Kirby was standing right by the stage, and people trying to get his autograph, and Jason's performing, and people were paying attention to him, and I was just laughing about just all the attention Kirby was getting there too. So, but it was a good event. It was a good event. We might have to get him again for something. So
something tells me he'd be a part.
I think he'd definitely take you up on that. So,
yeah, absolutely. I hope so.
What does Burt Jones do in free time?
Well, yeah, not a whole lot of free time.
I mean, surely you got a little bit of free time.
I look. I don't have many hobbies myself, but any free time I have is usually with the kids and what they're doing, and in fact, I prioritize not missing any games and not missing any big school events, and so I work my schedule around whatever it is they're doing. But I've got two kids that one likes cheerleading, and she's also likes soccer and really just any kind of sports activity. Little boy is the same way. He plays football and basketball and fishes. He likes to fish a lot. So I do those activities mostly in my free time, and I enjoy them. I mean, look, I've coached my little boy's football team, even though I think he put me in retirement now. He's at that age where he don't want to listen to daddy anymore, and I understand that, and that's fine. But we still like to get out there and bass fish and everything else, and so that's really in my free time. That's my hobby, I guess. My hobby and my responsibility is pouring as much into them as I can possibly do it. So but other than that, everybody asks me, do you play golf? And I go, I don't play golf, Right. It takes up too much time.
I was going to say, you probably don't have time to play golf.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the sport, and and play it. I don't play it nearly as much as I used to, but like I said, I enjoy doing activities with them more anyway. So
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you only 13 and 16. There's not that much time left.
Not much runway left
to do that. That's right. So.
Time's running out.
Absolutely.
Every successful guy I have ever met, no matter if they drive a 10-year-old truck, most of them do. Most of them, wear just regular shirts like you're wearing. They're not in Armani. But every successful guy I've ever met, it seems like that they have a really awesome car at their house. Please tell me you got a muscle car or something. Do you have a toy? Do you have a Harley? You got something that you like to go hop on just for for the sake of it.
I tell you, the things I enjoy during the summertime, because obviously we got Jackson Lake here.
He's got a nice boat, ladies and gentlemen.
He's got a nice boat. Yeah.
I grew up. I like skiing, and now of course I used to do wakeboarding. I don't do that anymore, but I've gotten into surfing.
Okay.
And the kids like it, and so I enjoy doing that. That is one thing, and Jan and I enjoy getting out there during the week sometimes and surfing and boating. So I guess that'd probably be my hobby.
Boating. There we go. He's got a nice boat. Is it a Mastercraft?
It's one of those Nautiques.
Nautiques, yeah, man.
One of those Nautiques.
Super nice.
I'll be honest with you. It was a coronavirus buy.
Okay.
Right there.
Y'all were bored.
Because I came across I don't know if there's such thing as a good deal, but it was a better deal than most on a boat, and because what those things, the prices those things gotten to now, I can't justify getting another one. So, but
the boat costs what lake houses used to cost now.
Yeah, Jackson Lake's the oldest lake in the state, oldest man-made lake in the state, and it was like it got discovered for the first time during Corona.
Right, because everybody wanted to go somewhere and do something.
Oh yeah, and so it went from being a fishing lake, where you just had old cabins,
right?
What I call fishing cabins, just lying around the lake. To now that, I guess, like what you said, at the time the prices of lake property was a lot lower than, say, a Sinclair or a Coney, and so I think we got discovered then, But now it's kind of crowded down there, so you can't ski on the weekend anymore.
You gotta hang low.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one other thing I ask everybody, and then I'll give it to Laura, and then we'll let you go because we know your time is super valuable. I always like to know. Have you ever been? You're around a lot of important people. You're around a lot of famous people.
Well, I'm around a lot of people that think they're important.
That think they're important too. Yes. So have you? Do you ever remember being kind of starstruck by somebody? Like, I mean, we all put our genes on the same way, but were you ever a little bit starstruck by somebody that you ended up in the same room with and got to meet?
Yeah, Donald J. Trump.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've never seen anybody like him before either. And what I mean by that is, I was starstruck the first time I got to meet him. I've gotten to really get to know him and really be friends with him. I'll tell you this quick story because you'll like this. Just tell you what kind of guy he is. A couple weeks ago, I was having an issue with a federal. It was a federal issue,
right?
And I called a congressman, couldn't get him on the line. I called one congressman, couldn't get him on the line. Called another congressman, couldn't get them on the line. And I just happened to know the head of the agency, and I called them, couldn't get them to pick up. So I finally just called the president. President of the United States. First ring, he picks up.
There you go.
And, he picks up. He goes, "Hey, Bert. Hey, I'm busy with something. Call me back. Call me back at 8:30. This is 5:30 in the afternoon.
Right.
Busiest man in the world.
Oh yeah.
And he said, call me back at 8:30. I'm dealing with something. I call him back at 8:30. Second ring, he picks up.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, I was starstruck, I would say, by him. And I've been around. I've had the opportunity, and I've been very fortunate in my life to be around. Whether it was star athletes, musicians, whatever it might be, people in the movie business, whatever.
Right.
People that you would all. If I said their name, everybody in the room would know them, and be like, "Oh wow." I have never seen when he comes into a room. I have never seen the draw that he gets from, doesn't matter what the room is.
Oh yeah.
Any and everybody who's in there with you.
He commands the attention of the room.
He commands the attention of the room. And it's like, and it will be folks who you wouldn't think would be starstruck.
Right.
And they're absolutely just he's got he's one of those, just has one of those personalities that, and he's one of those figures that you probably won't ever see another one like him, and he's that's if I had to pick one person, that'd probably be the one that. Yeah, but now when I talk to him just like you and I are talking. Because he's just he's really
like a buddy now.
Yeah, he's really kind of down to earth. I mean, he is. He he likes to he likes to cut up, and he likes to take jabs and jabs at them, and just
Before
like
he was
regular
president, he liked really fast cars too.
Yeah.
But they won't let him do that right now.
Yeah, I never have gotten it. I've always been a pickup truck man. I've never have been a muscle car guy. So, but
I got you.
That's just the way I am, I guess.
I seen a really nice Dodge in the parking lot. Was that yours?
Well, we have a Dodge. We actually are in the Dodge Chrysler business.
Okay.
So there'll be a lot of
okay.
Dodges out there.
I got you. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we in the car business, and our location's out there off the interstate, countryside.
Okay, that's John. Okay.
Yeah. So
I did not know.
I
that
never
was
knew
your
that.
family business.
Yeah. That I forgot to mention that earlier. I know with all these people on the listening to y'all right now, I need to pitch them a little more. So.
There you go.
But we're excited. We actually just got are going to be the proud new owners of a Chevrolet dealership too down in Byron, Georgia.
Okay.
So that will you'll have to see country sign.
Is that the old Jeff Smith Chevrolet right there? Okay.
That's it. Yeah.
All right.
Sure is. So we'll be we got traded on that location, and hopefully one of our signs will be up there pretty soon.
Very cool.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
I'll be out there broadcasting live from the brand new.
We will need to do that. I'm gonna hook you up with my general manager, and we would love to have y'all come down there.
There you go.
So,
you got anything, Ms. Laura?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time and talking to us. And I know that we're not saying anything official, but it is the worst kept secret that you're probably going to be running for governor, and we just wanted people to have an opportunity to get to know a little bit about you and hear about you, and know that what our next governor is like.
Well, I'm just an old small town boy, and we, like I said, we just we've been very fortunate around here, and in business and in politics, but at the end of the day, I feel like we've had the successes we've had just because we've never have ventured away from our core values, and the core values is always about treating people how you want to be treated. I always tell people the human psychology is real simple. I'm not a psychology major, but I said there's 3 A's to human psychology. One is everybody likes to be acknowledged, everybody likes to be accepted, and everybody likes to be appreciated.
That's right.
And that's something that those are things that we've lived by as a business, and in politics. I've adopted that philosophy, and in politics, and it's worked well for us because it is true. Everybody, those 3 things. Acknowledgement and acceptance and appreciation are something that everybody wants, and that's how we go about. When I say we, it's a family philosophy,
Right.
And those are things that we like to try to incorporate in everything we do. So I appreciate the opportunity to be with both of you guys.
We appreciate
ladies.
you, man. Thank you so much for your time.
I'm just glad to meet the #1 Dairy Queen operator
in the world.
Oh, man.
Because I have been to your place down there a number of times, and y'all do a good job. So
we appreciate that.
So you keep up the good work, and we might want to sell you one here pretty soon.
I hear you. You never know what's coming. Well, like every time, we like to end the podcast to remind you, if you can do something good, you should do something good. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.